Welcome to the Chief Endurance Officer Podcast. I'm your host, Greg McDonough. Each week, we hear real-time stories from athletes and CEOs on how to maximize performance through an endurance mindset. Let's get started. Welcome to the Chief Endurance Officer Podcast. I'm your host, Greg McDonough. I'm super excited about our guest today. He is an incredible athlete, entrepreneur, coach. He's overcome being an overworked sports attorney to become an Ironman athlete, and now has coached over 500 clients across more than 15 countries to help them reclaim their energy, focus, and physical edge. His mission is simple: help busy leaders go from burnout to the finish line. Please welcome the co-founder and coach at Wingman Coaching, Stephan Weyers. Stephan, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Greg. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
It's great to know it. And I was lucky enough that Stephan and I actually got coffee last week, and it's very rare that I've got a local podcast guest. And so I just want to give you a little shout out there. And I look forward to getting on a bike or going on a long run with you someday soon, or playing a little golf. But before we do that, I'd love to get into your endurance mindset. And Stephan, I'd love to know how your endurance mindset has impacted your life unexpectedly.
Well, in my case, Greg, I'd never had an endurance mindset. It's something I only, discovered when I started doing Ironman, and when this whole triathlon world opened to me. I then realized that this endurance mindset is more than just, learning how to swim, bike, and run for long distances, and getting the duration in. It's what you unlock in your life. Outside swim, bike, and run. That really was a big surprise for me. And so that is because I became an endurance athlete. It helped me in so many ways. I'd like to think I became a better parent and a better spouse and a better businessman and entrepreneur and a better coach. I can't think what my life was, without this endurance mindset that you talk about.
And you're spot on, right? It just, taking these things on, doing the training, doing the hard work, it really helps in other aspects of life, right? And there's probably hundreds of different examples. Anything come to mind? Any one realization that in your family life or your business life, you said, hey, you know what? If I wasn't doing endurance training and coaching, this probably wouldn't have appeared in my life, or I would have taken a different approach to an aspect of life.
Yeah, I would like to think the one thing is that anything is possible. I really think so. I think anybody can do it. And I didn't think so years ago. I thought it's only for the elite athletes. When I saw Ironman the first time, I saw these people on the beach in these wetsuits look like superheroes. I never thought it's normal people, just normal dads, normal businessmen, just people with busy lifestyle. I thought it's elite athletes. And I realized that everybody can do it. It really helps you overcome so many stumbling blocks, because if you do one thing at a time and it's break it down in little things, and it's amazing how your boundaries expand. Things that you didn't think was things that you thought was impossible, 3 months ago, is now a routine. You just do it day in, day out, week in, week out. It's incredible what becomes possible when you keep doing something for a long time, over and over.
100%. I'd love to dig into that a little bit deeper. When you're talking to a burnout executive who probably overweight, probably not good, healthy diet, and you're trying to convince him or her that, hey, you can get to the finish line of a 70.3 or 140.6. Stephan, give us a little bit of sense of what that initial conversation sounds like.
Well, for a minute, I thought you were describing me there for a minute, but that's exactly where I was in 2012 and 2013. I was that guy you were describing now. So usually when I find these people, they say they've tried everything. And if I ask them, what have you tried? And that's always the same things. They bought the books, they bought the gym membership, they bought the app, they bought the online workout. And they say it doesn't work. And then I'm like, let's delve deeper. What doesn't work? And then what it turns out is they try and buy something to get them started, but it really has to start with them. So the first conversation is about finding out, where are we going to find the time? Where are we going to make the time, and what are we going to do to get started? What is around you? You don't always need a gym membership. You can start where you are with what you have, and just get momentum, even if it's just going for walks. I have people that have completed multiple Ironmans that started with walking, started with walking, started with spending 20 minutes on an indoor bike, spending, just going out and walk in nature. It doesn't have to be these extreme workouts. So the first conversation is, give me 10 minutes and let's build momentum. Everybody has 10 minutes. And when they say to me, I really want to do this, but I don't have the time, I'm like, let's quickly look at your settings on your phone and look at your screen time. There's 3 or 4 hours that you spend scrolling that we can just give me 20 minutes of that. And with 20 minutes, we can build. 20 minutes becomes 30 minutes. 30 minutes becomes 45 minutes. 45 minutes becomes an hour. And then every third day becomes every second. It becomes every day. And within 3 months, you already have someone sleeping better. Yeah, then it's kind of a slippery slope. When you see progress, you want to do more and more and more. Then you see all the things around you that's unhealthy, and you want to cut that out. Then you start looking at your diet, and then all of a sudden you're eating better, you're now exercising, you're sleeping better, and then you can feel the difference. And then you want more and more and more. And then when you add, I came to the sport as a non-swimmer. I was an adult onset swimmer. I had many clients that tell me they can't swim. It's like, I also couldn't swim. Let's teach you how to swim. It's not that hard. Everybody can do it. Yes, it's technical. It takes time, but everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. If you look at the Special Olympics, I mean, if that doesn't inspire you, you complain about you don't have time, but you have a body that works. Let's just get it back to work.
Yeah. You mentioned the Special Olympics. I'm also a big supporter of the Challenge Athletes Foundation, and it's for that similar reason. It's like, hey, here are humans with limitations or advantages at sometimes, that are doing this incredible accomplishment, and I'm sitting here complaining that I got to send some emails or do things in my life that I've just kind of created as a distraction. Anyway, we can tee off on that in a little bit, but Stephan, I'd love to also know, kind of give us your story, give us your sort of road to Ironman. I mentioned in the intro that you were an overworked sports attorney. Like, how did you discover this sport?
Yeah, I've got an interesting story, because I didn't come to Ironman like most people do. Most people are active and they do events, and then that events escalate and they want to do longer events or more ambitious events. And then, they go from a sprint triathlon to an Olympic, and then eventually they tackle the big Ironman. For me, it was completely the other way around. I wasn't so much overworked as I was overweight. I had a hectic work schedule. I was traveling a lot. But I also had a terrible lifestyle. I was, spending a lot of time in pubs after work with clients and friends, and I I basically neglected my health. I was blessed with good genes, and I was always healthy and active. But later on in my professional career, I really became unfit, unhealthy, and it started impacting my life in every single area. And I wasn't I never made the decision to become healthy. Through my work, I was a sports lawyer, and we signed a contract with Ironman South Africa to have a look at their commercial rights and find them sponsorship. So I was invited to the event, and not really knowing what Ironman was. I stood on the beach as a guest, to sort of learn more about the sport, and which we need to go and take to market. And I stood on that beach, and I couldn't believe what I saw. It was like very dramatic. They have this in South Africa. You have these Zulu dancers on the beach with the traditional gear and the spears, and you have these cameras and helicopters in the air, and this on the pier, all these thousands of people. I was completely blown away by it. And I saw all these people in these wetsuits looking so fit and active. They just looked so healthy. And I was like the complete opposite. I was so overweight and running on empty. And I right there decided I'm going to do Ironman immediately. I wanted to be on this beach next year. So I went back very inspired, but for me, I was a non-swimmer. I've ridden bikes before, and I was always active playing other sports, but I was not a runner. So I've discovered this coach, David Sullivan in Cape Town, and he taught me how to swim. But this dream was so big that I remember it was winter in Cape Town. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. So when I reached out to David, he said, "Meet me at the pool at 5." I think that was his way to get rid of me. I was a bit over anxious, I think. And I got to the pool. My wife was like, "Where the hell are you going? It's 5 o'clock in winter. Like, I'm meeting someone at the pool. He's going to teach me how to swim." And she was like, "You're insane." And I got there and I couldn't make my way from one side of the pool to the other. I couldn't swim. It was a 20-meter pool. I remember well. I couldn't swim one length. And I got out of the pool and I said to this guy, "Well, thanks. Now I know I can't do this." He said to me, "No, you're going to come back tomorrow and you're going to swim again." I'm like, "No, give me your invoice. I'm done." And he said, "Come back tomorrow." So the next day I went back. I swam 2 lengths, made my way to the pool twice and the other end of the pool. And then I said to him, now I'm done. I can't do this. He said, "Come back one more time." And I came back the next day and I swam 4 lengths. And then I said, "I'm done." And he said, "No, you're not done." I went back and I swam 8 lengths the next day. And the next day I went back and I swam 16 lengths. And I think I went back the next day and swam 20. And I thought, okay, well, I went from 0 to 20 in 5 days. And he said to me, "If you keep working on it, you'll make." So then I knew, okay, my entry barrier has been taken care of, swimming. I'll buy a bike and I'm prepared to do the work because this dream was so big. And the next year I stood on that beach in a wetsuit and I did it. And I've coached many athletes now over the last 11 years. I don't think I've ever coached someone who had the lucky experience that I had in the first year. I just, everything went to plan. The sea was, even though it wasn't the easiest swim, I felt great all day. I was tired, of course, but I just had the best experience you can wish to. And then I was sucked in so deep into the sport because of this great experience. I just wanted more and more and more. So yeah, I came to the sport in a very untraditional way, but I fell pretty hard for it, and it became looking back now, it's pretty much it was a very, very significant moment in my life because it turned out to, turn everything around physically, mentally, professionally. That's now I'm coaching full time. Who would have thought, that I'd ever be a coach, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, my life coach talks about walking through the doors that are open, and it's for you that was very much the case, right? You're on the beach at Ironman, feeling the inspiration, and then I love the fact that your coach was kind of say, "Come back tomorrow, just come back tomorrow," and it sounds as if that's very similar to your coaching approach, where it's let's do 10 minutes, let's find 10 minutes on your calendar, let's just go for a walk outside and check in with me later, and I'm going to call you tomorrow and do it. So can you go a little bit more into your coaching philosophy and how that's sort of grown over your 11 years?
I would say my coaching philosophy has, evolved over time as I got exposed to new things. When I started out, I had this good experience as an athlete over a few years, and then I was consuming so much of the sport. I was reading every book. I was watching every YouTube video I could. I was reading every pro's race report. So I thought I had a lot of knowledge, but I've never coached anyone in my life. I knew I wanted to do this, so I thought the first stop is to get a lot of credentials. So I was the first guy in South Africa to have the Ironman certification, the Ironman certified coaching credentials. I was USA certified. I got the Training Peak certifications, the Training Peak universities, and then that still didn't. So now I've got the passion and I've got the drive, and I know I want to do that. I've got the credentials, but I still have never coached anyone. So I reached out to friends of mine, and I said to them, "Listen, you're in the sport. You don't have a coach. I've never coached anyone, but I've got all these fancy credentials now. Do you mind if I coach you?" So that's how I found athletes in the beginning. So reached out to people I knew, and they all started making significant improvements. And then I knew, okay, well, I can do this. And then I was a big Joe Friel, like anyone coming to the sport, you buy the triathlon training Bible. And the more I read and the more I worked with athletes, the more I learned. And the more I learned, the more I started figuring things out and adapting things. So My philosophy is pretty much, every athlete is unique. So you can't, I don't understand why people buy follow magazine programs or buy online programs, because that program's not written for you. And I guess my first big twist in my philosophy was when I figured out that we were part of a big group training together. And when I started the business with David, I said to him, we need to be a personalized coaching business. We can't, even if we have big groups, we can't have the guy first out of the water following the same program as the guy who, like me, who came to the sport as a non-swimmer. It has to be individualized. It has to be custom made. So we started offering group training with a personalized approach. The one-on-one is probably the biggest. You have to know your client. You have to know his background, his level, his experience, his available training time, what he has. Does he swim in open water? Does he swim in a dam? Does he swim in the 50-meter pool? Where does he swim? What bike does he have? So I try to make things work with, who you are, what you have, and what's available, and then we build it from there. There's a big drive today that I see a lot of people trying to sell, upsell all sorts of gear to people when they don't really need it. Let's make it work with what you have, and then if you like it, especially if you come to the sport as a first timer, let's just first see if you like Ironman triathlon. It's not for everyone, but if you like it, then you can start looking for the marginal gains. But the normal things that you find in any decent philosophy, consistency is absolutely crucial. I think beginners do better with frequency, where intermediates do better with a bit more duration, and the elites do a bit better with intensity. It's meeting the athlete where he is, and then building something that's applicable to his life, and then making it work.
Yeah, and to your point, Stephan, right? It's also the understanding what else is in their life that's causing them stress, that's causing them happiness. That's, if you've got a work commitment, you need to travel. Like, there's all kinds of sort of creative tweaks that need to be implemented into the training and into the plan. I also find that I value my coach the most when I pick up an injury, right? So we can immediately shift. If I've got a tight calf or an Achilles issue, like, all right, let's focus more pool time. Let's get back stronger on the bike. Let's lay off the run. And right, you're almost constantly real time adjusting your training plan in order to, stay fit and be ready for race day, so that when the gun goes off, you're ready.
Yeah, Greg, I would say the biggest benefit of having a coach is exactly that. It removes the guesswork. Like when you get sick or you have to travel and you end up missing one or two workouts, which is the one that's, more important? Which is the one you can leave? Which was the one you should catch up? Those conversations need to happen. And which is another reason why these one-size-fits-all programs don't really work that well. You have to have someone on the end of the line advise you the best, because these things happen. Everyone gets sick. Everyone's children get sick. There's always work travel. There's always deadlines. There's always things that come up. How do you make it work despite everything? That's something that we address through constant communication and by having a fluid plan, by having something that you can adapt on the fly. And constant communication is probably the biggest one.
Changing topics a little bit. When we met for coffee last week, we started talking about a group that you're organizing for the 70.3 in North Carolina. Stephan, I'd love for you to talk to our audience a little bit about what you've got in that program. It's pretty expansive. So just go give you some time to talk through that.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So I am of the opinion that everybody can be ready for a 70.3 Ironman in 20 weeks. So I've come up with this 20-week plan that has a lot of value in it. It includes a race in the lead up to Wilmington, 70.3 in October. So there's a race, a sprint triathlon on the same course in September that we include. And at the same time, we're putting on a camp with some classrooms and, some content and resources that we're going to share. But it also includes a race suit and, some gear, caps and shirts, stuff like that. But essentially, it's a 20-week coached one-on-one program. It's an online program, but it's coached on a one-on-one basis with full access to me. We have we have an onboarding procedure where we take a deep dive into your historic data, where you are at the moment, and then I'll come up with a plan of attack for every individual person that signs up to have this roadmap for the next 20 weeks to make sure. I'm so convinced that you will make it. I can guarantee you're going to finish. And if you don't finish, I'm happy to refund you. But I believe that 20 weeks is enough if you follow the plan, and if you're compliant and you do the workouts, you will get the results. Also, a great time of the year. It's October, perfect fall weather on a great course. Wilmington is an easy place to get to on the East Coast. It's more than just a race. It's a real seaside little quaint village with a lot to do, with nice beaches, and great time of the year. So it's a good location, a good venue, a good race, a good course. Ironman puts on good races, but that particular course is first time friendly. It's PR friendly. It's a very, very easy swim, current assisted, protected, down current with a flattish bike with a few rolling hills on the run, but it's for the most part a very enjoyable and easy course.
It sounds amazing. I might have to grab that link and sign up. I will include the link for the audience members. If you go down below into the podcast notes, you'll see a link for it there too. Stephan, when we chatted, also you had some pretty big dreams about Wingman Coaching and where you're trying to take the business. From a business perspective, like talk to us about what your plans, what your goals are with the business.
I'm convinced that this is a scalable business, and my niche is the executive between 40 and 60, and I see many of those people, and I know there's a lot out there that can do with the service. I'm living proof of it. It's my story. I've been through it myself, and I know there's so many people out there that was in my shoes and that want to get active. They don't always know where to start, but we know, and we can guide them. And I think that's a replicable business, and I think the demand is there. And there's so many great races around the world and around different times of the year. My next mission is to scale this business into other areas, into other countries. I have athletes all over the world. I coach people from Tanzania to Tasmania, but I also, would like my next chapter to be to roll out this business and to scale into other territories, and to have groups training together for a regional race and maybe a national race, and then go as a group into international race, and align myself with brands that can share this vision and want to expand with me. So I'm busy building it now, and it's a lot of a lot of work, but it's something I can't get out of my mind. I'm very ambitious dreams, and I'm going to go out to get it.
I love the passion, and for me, it's a lot about building community. I think to your point about those in that age bracket, which I am smack in the middle, but I'm already addicted. So it's about building the community, right? And it's not just Facebook and LinkedIn and those types of connections. It's hey, I've got 6 people in the Northern Virginia area that are all training for Wilmington. Let's organize once a month going out for a group run or a ride or something, or connecting over WhatsApp.
Exactly. That fraternity is a big part. People want to belong to something, and you don't have to do every workout together to belong to this group. We all have, everyone's life look different. Some people train at 5 in the morning. Some people train at 10 at night. Some people train over their lunch hour. So you're never going to get a group, especially in this vast area, that train together consistently. But if you're in the same general area, we can ride together on weekends, or do at least one long run or one long ride together, or have one master swim. I took some guys out to Sandy Point State Park on Friday, and it was such a benefit to them that we're going to go again. And other people have asked me to take them there. So we now decided every Friday morning, without fail, come rain or shine, 7 in the morning, on a Friday, we're going out to Sandy Point. So everybody's welcome to join me there. And a lot of people do the majority of their training in the pool. They're never exposed to open water swimming until the race. So, I'm going to try and host a few sessions there, as many as I can before the real race season starts. But yes, to your point, people want to belong to something, and that so many good things happen in these groups. Uh, in my time, I've seen not only people becoming friends and becoming family friends, and it's almost a lot of business deals are done there. I remember in our first group there was a guy who was a pediatrician, and he told me that not one of his patients, he didn't have any patients from our group. And fast forward a few years, he was making good money just from our group. All the mums took their sick children to them, and I've seen travel agents who never had one uh, customer in that group. All of a sudden, everybody's booking their travel through. I've seen lawyers get more, clients from that group. It's just everybody supports each other, and everybody's professional. So there's a lot of resources in your own group, and people that never knew each other. Now all of a sudden, there's all these business arrangements and business dealings and customers and network expansion. So there's a lot more to just training. And you learn something from everything. Every athlete can teach you something.
You know, a light bulb just came on for me. And so thank you for sharing that about community in the groups, right? I've been doing now long distance tries for 10 years. And originally it was my wife and I sort of training together over the first 6, and then the last 4, she's been focused more on running and I'm more focused on triathlon. But it's very much her and me sort of just one-on-one. And we haven't really reached, like, we were in part of a tri club early on to kind of break the ice and get us into the sport. But now, and to the point you just made, like, my training tends to be me on my trainer, me out on a long ride, me on a run, and not in a group. And I suspect my overall performance, this is just me self-reflecting, my overall performance on race day is kind of being hindered by the fact that I don't have 10 other guys and girls sort of motivating me to go a little bit further, go a little bit deeper, get the actual workouts in. Any reflections on that?
Yeah, you meet fascinating people in these groups. I tell you, I coach at the DC Tri Club. I'm the head coach of the advanced programs there. I'll tell you two quick stories. We were cycling one day, and there was one guy I became friendly with. He was sort of my age, and we always ended up cycling together. And I asked him about his work, and he told me he works in the Pentagon. And fast forward, to make a long story short, I asked him one day, do they still do those tours of the Pentagon? Because I was always fascinated about the place. You always see it in the movies, and always thought there's a place you'll never see. And then he said, "Why am I asking?" And I said, "No, I know my parents are coming to visit me in the States, and I really want to show my dad around there." And he said, "If it's for you and for your parents, I'll make something happen." And I won't give you names or anything, but this guy was quite senior, and he basically then arranged for me and my parents to go through the Pentagon, and he took us on a tour, and we walked through the E corridor and all the places that you will never even in your life get to. Just a story of how I, through cycling, next to someone, unlocked a visit to the Pentagon, a guided tour with my parents. I never thought it would happen. And then it's just where I'm from, everybody's, do more or less the same thing professionally. You don't find all these super interesting jobs that people do over here. Give you an example. I've coached a lady. She's a fingerprint expert with a Secret Service. Things like that. Would never have met someone like that in my groups in Cape Town. But yeah, everybody, comes at the Tri Club. We see that a lot. People come from all over. Everybody's on different levels. Everybody's just different, and everybody brings something unique, which is really refreshing. And like I said, you can learn as a coach. I try to learn something from every athlete I coach, and there's a lot you can learn. But also, there's every person is so interesting. They all come from different places. They all have different interests. Triathlon is the thing that binds us and the thing that unites us. But outside of that, every single person is so different. It's very, very interesting to me. I've met some incredible people through triathlon and been to incredible places through triathlon. So that's very, very interesting how that works out.
So we've got an audience member, business owner, thinking about getting off the couch and taking on a triathlon or taking on a longer run. Are clubs a good sort of first step to kind of dabble into, like, because I think there's a sequence, right? Do you go from the couch to coaching, Or is there a middle ground with a tri club or a running club or a bike club? How do you see clubs sort of fitting into the mix of somebody's progression out of burnout?
I can speak for the DC Tri Club. I can tell you one thing. They've got a program called NTP, New Triathlete Program. It's unbelievable. Some years they have over 100 people registering for that. I don't coach there, but they have great coaches. They've got great support people, and they have this mentor program where, you know, people that's done the program in the past come back to assist and be mentors for the new signups. They Yeah, triathlon is three sports coming together with a lot of information. And there's a lot of things you have to figure out. There's a lot of new terminologies and so many new things you have to learn. And they really break it down into so many little workshops and information sessions. And they have sessions at the bike shop where they explain the difference, but what's the difference between a dry bike and a road bike. And
Mm.
they have open water sessions where they take people swimming, and they have swim clinics where they have stroke correction with Julie, who's one of the best coaches I've seen, Julie Billingsley, and they spend a lot of time getting you into the sport, and then if you like it and you want more, you can sign up for the advanced programs. But I would say that's a great place to start. It's too much to figure out on your own. If you have a background in two of the sports, it's easy to just add the third. But if you're coming from the couch in your example and you wanna check this out, I would say start with a very small distance. Start with a sprint distance, which is not, you don't have to train so many hours over so many weeks to go and accomplish the race. You can probably get away with a month or two of training. But I would say find a tri club, find a reputable coach, find a group, and nobody was born with 5 Ironman medals. Everybody had to start somewhere. Even the fastest athletes, the most elite of the elite, even the pros, some of them started very late, and they had to start somewhere with knowing nothing. And just start, just meet, Google the closest tri group, and you'll see triathletes are extremely welcoming and open to share their knowledge with newbies and people coming to the sport. There's a very exciting movement happening at the moment where there's a lot of new type of triathletes coming to the sport. There used to be very limited demographics that was attracted to triathlon. Now all of a sudden you see a very diverse population, a big diversity in coming to the sport.
No, absolutely.
I would just say, I think what I'm noticing is there's a lot of new people coming to the sport from all sorts of backgrounds.
Mm.
It's a very exciting development, and I see it's mostly people who are, not elite runners or college swimmers or people that have vast experience on cycling. It's people that have typically zero exposure to the sport. They want to try it out, and it's really great to see.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's exciting when back to the point about community, and we're seeing different types of athletes coming into the community, and the point you've ultimately made about how welcoming, right? This whole podcast is based on the fact that I can reach out to an athlete or coach like you, and you're willing to sort of put in the time and say yes and tell a story and grow an audience. And, I find that those of us in this space are super welcoming and fun and have a lot of good stories to share. Stephan, an audience member wants to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
My email address is stephan@wingmansport.com. It's STEPHAN and wingmansport.com. My mobile number is 240-440-0140. Call me, send me a text. I'm on WhatsApp all the time because I've got so many international clients and interactions every day. My website is wingmansport.com. I'm on Instagram as coach.stephan.weyers. And that's pretty much LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well as just Stephan Weyers.
Awesome. And we'll include those in our show notes. Stephan, you've really lit up some light bulbs for me around this group training, group events, kind of highlighting a little deficit that I have in my current plan.
Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate it. And just in closing, you can totally follow an individual plan or your coach's plan within these groups. You don't have, it's not always a
Great
group
point.
workout that you have to do. Whether you're coached by someone else, you can, it's always safer to come and do your workout with others, especially open water swimming and riding. You can do your intervals and your prescribed watts, but at least you can start together and maybe in together and have a meal together and exchange war stories afterwards. So totally possible to follow your own plan within a group.
That's a great point. Thank you for your insights today. Audience members, if you like the show, please subscribe. Please share this with your community. Let's get this message out to a greater audience and with open arms, welcome more athletes to our community. Again, Stephan, it's been awesome having you on the show.
Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Chief Endurance Officer Podcast. To hear more inspiring stories and strategies around the endurance mindset, be sure to subscribe below or visit us at chiefenduranceofficer.com. Until next time, keep pushing those limits.